He claims that we are law-abiding citizens, but yet we break the law every day. I'm talking about wearing your seatbelt. Although the wearing of seatbelt is law in 49 states in America and indeed the Bahamas, many people still do not wear their seatbelt. If you are one of those persons who refuse to wear your seatbelt despite the warning, after this speech, I hope to persuade you to wear your seatbelt the very next time you drive. Help save lives. Wear your seatbelt every time. The importance of wearing a seatbelt. In 1985, I was driving my sister to the airport when I lost control of the vehicle due to wet roads and rainy weather. While driving and trying to avoid hitting a utility pole, I collided with an oncoming vehicle. On impact, my sister and I were both thrown from the vehicle. I'm sure that I went through the windshield due to all the lacerations and all the splinters that's left in my head from the windshield. I had to spend 2 weeks in hospital. I had to have my hair shaved off. One of my hands were broken, fractured leg. There were many injuries that could have been avoided had we been wearing our seatbelts. Thankfully, my sister and I both are alive, but you may not be so fortunate. So please, wear your seatbelt every time you drive. So if you're one of those persons that fasten your seatbelt and sit on it to avoid the annoying sound, please don't do it anymore, because being ejected is terrible if you have to be crushed by an oncoming vehicle or if you have to be ejected from the vehicle itself. Do you believe that wearing your seatbelt saves lives? I do, after 1985. There are many myths about how it's better not to wear a seatbelt for the fear of becoming trapped in a vehicle. Let's share with you the benefits of wearing seatbelts. Have you ever tried to fasten your seatbelt while a vehicle was moving and realized that the seatbelt wouldn't extend any further? It's because the seatbelt is designed to hold the occupants in place and locks in position. If the driver was pressing gas, which is the accelerator, or brakes, the seatbelt extension would not move. So if you don't believe it, try it the next time you're in a vehicle and the driver is pressing gas. Seatbelt prevents occupants from serious injury in 5 different ways, according to Angela Erster-Huber, Director of Pennsylvania Traffic Injury Prevention Project and Media. She says, seatbelts hold occupants in place and prevent occupants from crashing into the interior of vehicles, such as the windshield, dashboard, steering wheel, airbags, etc. It also prevents occupants from being ejected from the vehicle during an impact or a sudden stop. It prevents passengers from colliding into each other. It prevents your own or other oncoming vehicle during an accident from rolling over you if you are ejected. It also prevents occupants from moving forward 4 times the speed of the vehicle that it was making at the time. Still not sure if wearing seatbelt is the best thing to do? Well, let me give you some facts about seatbelts saving lives. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, more than 15,000 lives are saved each year in the United States alone because drivers and their passengers were wearing a seatbelt when they were involved in a road traffic accident. Facts and statistics about how seatbelts save lives. Motor vehicle crashes are the leading cause of death in the first 3 decades of American lives, and in 2009 alone, crashes killed over 33,000 people and injured 2.2 million. More than 70% of these passengers were in passenger vehicles and trucks. Seatbelts use is on the rise, thank God. Laws, education, and technology have increased seatbelts use from 11% in 1981 to nearly 85% in 2010, saving hundreds of thousands of lives, yet about 1 in 7 persons still don't wear the seatbelt. There are proven policies to increase the seatbelt and save lives. Most drivers are unrestrained. In other words, they were not wearing their seatbelt. 53% of drivers and passengers killed. Seatbelts dramatically reduce risk of death and serious injuries. Among drivers and front seat passengers, seatbelts reduces the death by 45% and cut the risk of serious injuries by 50% during an accident or if you was ejected. People not wearing seatbelt are 30 times more likely to be ejected from a vehicle during a crash. More than 3 out of 4 who are ejected during a fatal crash die from their injuries. Seatbelts save thousands of lives each year, and increasing use would save thousands more. Seatbelts saved almost 13,000 in 2009. If all drivers and passengers were wearing their seatbelt, we would have at least 4,000 more people alive today. What can we do to enforce wearing the seatbelt, even though it's law? The Center for Disease Control recommend effective, well-enforced seatbelt laws to ensure that every person in every seatbelt buckle up every time they drive. The law needs to be enforced, and stiffer penalties needs to be put in place to encourage persons to wear the seatbelt. Since my accident in 1985 and my body was ejected from the vehicle with so many injuries, I experienced it already. You don't have to. Just wear your seatbelt every time you drive or ride. In my conclusion, change the way you look at wearing a seatbelt today. See it as a safety measure. Be a role model by wearing your seatbelt. It may seem inconvenient at first, but eventually it'll become a habit. Encourage your colleagues, your friends, and families to do the same. Start by wearing your seatbelt every time and the very next time you enter a vehicle. Help save lives. Wear your seatbelt every time you ride. Thank you.